everything should be done by now. Everything should just be in the oven and we should be sitting here having a cocktail. So that's the goal for today. Starting with the stuffing. This is called stuffing because this recipe was written to be stuffed inside of a turkey, although it's very reminiscent of a Southern style dressing, which is what we have. And I'm just gonna go ahead and chop up my onions and celery. For the most part, seriously, everything can be made ahead. And it's not just the day before. You don't have to stress out just in one day. A lot of these things can be made 3 days before. So space it out. Make yourself a little to-do list. Now let's talk about the bread. This is just a variety of leftover bread we had laying around. So I just kind of popped it in a low oven just to like dry it out. So now it's like croutons, basically. I'm gonna take all of our dried out bread and just process it until it makes like chunky crumbs. This is also good to do if you have like flavored bread. You know, they have those hearty sourdough loaves that have rosemary or something in them. That would be delicious to do this with. All right, now we cook and bring it all together. If you've never made stuffing or dressing, let me tell you, this is like just a basic recipe. And I don't say that in a negative way. I think people have gotten too fussy with trying to make gourmet or, you know, kind of non-traditional sides. I like classic when it comes to my Thanksgiving sides. And I, for one, am here for the sides. So, starts with a lot of butter. Then we're gonna saute our onion and celery in this butter. If you have any like leaves of the celery, include that in there. That's the best flavor. All right, so we're just gonna cook this until these veggies start to soften. And then I like to go ahead and add in the herbs. We know like the fat kind of helps transfer the flavor throughout the whole dish. So go ahead and get that fat flavored. Poultry seasoning is something that I only see during Thanksgiving, but it does have just that distinct smell of Thanksgiving. And this recipe calls for a little additional sage. It also calls for dried thyme. And in case we have never met, I just don't like dried thyme. So I've got fresh. Dried thyme has like one place for me, and that is like in some Cajun cooking. I'm also gonna go in with some salt. That's gonna help these veggies soften. You want them to be soft before we add them to the bread. They're not gonna get much softer beyond this point, even when they bake in the oven. So I'm just gonna cook this down. This process is gonna take about 10 minutes. See how the onions have gone from like all white to semi-translucent? When they're translucent, you know that they've softened and they're gonna kind of melt into the stuffing and not be like crunchy. Pour this flavorful goodness over our bread. Also have not added pepper yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then you're going to start adding chicken broth, and you're gonna do that until this whole mixture is moistened. I like to do about a cup at a time. I like it super moist when it's like going in, because after it bakes, it tends to dry out a little bit, so I go a little heavy on the stock. You can, at this point, put it into Ziploc bags and keep it in your freezer. And then it's ready to go into your casserole dish when you're ready, or you can stuff it inside of your bird. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a casserole dish. Tempted to just put a little more butter on top. Stuffing is ready for Thanksgiving Day. You can stick it in your fridge or your freezer just like this also, but because we can't wait that long, I'm going straight into the oven. Reminder though, when you pull this out of the fridge after you've made it ahead a couple days, it's going to be ice cold throughout. So you wanna pull it out like at least a couple hours before you want to put it into the oven. If you put it in while it's ice cold, you can almost double the cook time. Hot and steamy, but the smell, This is still pretty moist. I don't even know if I need gravy. Using the flavored bread, good idea. I know I said I chose like a basic one, but it's really kind of perfect. Let's see what it looks like with a little gravy on it. This is the perfect bite of Thanksgiving. Great make ahead stuffing recipe. Add this one to your file. Next up, sweet potatoes. I'm doing just an easy, again, classic sweet potato casserole. So the recipe calls for mashed sweet potatoes. The easiest way to do that is just to bake your sweet potatoes whole. Instead of peeling, cubing, and boiling them, which is a lot of work, the flavor on these is a lot better. It's more concentrated. It's like a deeper, rich sweet potato flavor. You just cut the skin and then the flesh will just slide right out into your bowl. You might see a little browning on the sweet potato flesh. That's good, because that means some of those sugars in the sweet potato have caramelized and you're just gonna get better flavor. See how easy that is? It's way easier than peeling. And your cleanup, it's just that easy. All right, now we mash. In goes sugar. I don't necessarily always want mine to taste like dessert. I don't like it to be super sweet. So I'm gonna cut the sugar back a little bit of milk, melted butter. Gotta have something salt and your something sweet, and a little vanilla. And now these ingredients kind of cooled off the sweet potato, so now I can add in the egg. And the egg just kind of lifts this up, so it makes it, you know, a little like a souffle. You don't want to scramble those eggs, so make sure your sweet potato has cooled off slightly. And then that's it. This goes into your casserole dish. While it appears to be a little loose, when it bakes, those eggs are gonna help it, you know, kind of come together. This one is at the point where it is ready for the fridge or the freezer. But also, we're gonna go ahead and make the topping. The topping is going to be a cup of brown sugar. Also going in with a little flour. This is gonna make like a streusel topping. I'm over the marshmallows, you know. Some pecans. And more melted butter. I could just eat this with a spoon. Being that this is make ahead, you would go ahead and add it to a Ziploc bag. Cover your sweet potatoes. You want to keep these separated because when they come straight from the fridge to the oven, the casserole is going to take a little longer to cook. You don't want the topping to burn if they cook at the same time. So give your sweet potato casserole a little head start in the oven, then top it halfway through and finish the baking. Sweet potatoes been chilling. I'm going to get these in the oven since they're cold inside and give them a head start, and then I'll add the topping. That was 375 for about 20 minutes just to give it a head start. The original cook time is 30 to 45 minutes, but that's when it's not cold at all. So I'm gonna start with about 25 to 30 minutes from this point forward. I like the amount of topping, just sweet potato casserole. Back in we go, 375 for 25 to 30 minutes. Look at this. Does that not look divine? You're gonna wanna let this sit for about 10 minutes or so before serving. Creamy, crunchy, sweet and salty. This one's gonna have it all. And why do I keep saying perfect, but I feel like it's perfect. I'm glad we added that salt in there because it balances the sweetness perfectly. The topping is also sweet, but ironically not too sweet, even though it's like mostly brown sugar. I still don't know if it's dessert or side dish, but whatever it is, it's delicious. Next up, the cranberry sauce. You've got to have cranberry sauce. Now for me, we're for sure gonna have the slice and eat can, but also it's nice to have the fresh made cranberry sauce. And this one is not your typical. This one is called cranberry sauce extraordinaire because it has so much more than cranberries in it. And the reviews, I mean, some people just eat it with a spoon. You can serve it over cream cheese. You can do whatever you want. So it calls for cranberries, fresh or frozen are fine. The cranberries frozen are the closest thing to fresh. But also in this goes pear, an apple, and some oranges chopped up. In the reviews, I saw that like this one's kind of like a sweeter cranberry sauce, so they wanted to keep some of the tartness. So they suggested use a Granny Smith versus a sweeter apple. While I'm doing this, I can get my simple syrup going. The recipe calls to start by boiling some sugar and water, which is a simple syrup, equal parts. I'm gonna go a little shy on the water since I'm using frozen cranberries and those are gonna have a little bit extra water in them. Just get this heating up while I finish chopping my fruit. All right, it also calls for an orange that has been pureed. I just really don't feel like pulling out a food processor to puree an orange, so I'm just gonna finally chop it up. All right, it also calls to add in a cup of dried mixed fruit. I think that's open to whatever you want that to be. The things that I thought would be good, some dried pineapple, raisins, but I chose the golden raisins, and then cherries because duh. And these are tart cherries because I don't want it to be too sweet.